let's do one more long division problem. All right, first thing you look at is the x and the 9x squared. So the idea is, what times x is 9x squared? Or go in the other direction, I can say 9x squared divided by x. I'm going to cancel 1 out, leaving behind a 9x. I'm going to distribute into both of these. And subtract. When you do your subtraction, if this first term doesn't cancel, you did something wrong. All right, so I'm going to change it up, though. I don't want to subtract. I'm going to add the opposite. Subtracting and adding the opposite is the same. 9x squared plus a negative 9x squared is 0, which is good. Negative 21x plus 9x is negative 12x. Bring down your minus 20. Now I do it again. Negative 12x divided by x is just negative 12. I'm going to distribute negative 12x plus 12, and I'm going to subtract. If you can do the subtraction without changing it, that's great. If not, add the opposite. I'm going to get a remainder of negative 32. So I'm going to write 9x minus 12 plus a negative 32 over x plus 1. All right, this is an acceptable answer. A better answer, because of this plus and negative fraction, is going to be 9x minus 12 minus 32 over x plus 1. All right, that's the better answer. All right, this is going to come into play here in a second. Nine x squared minus 21x minus 20, which is this. And I want f of 1. I'm going to put in a 1 into both of my x's, do my math. We get negative 32. All right, if you're seeing something, great. If not, we will get there. All right, because when we start doing the next one, it's going to be a little bit easier. All right, just remember these answers and how we did our math and got them. All right, so again, this is probably the best answer. That plus minus is better as a negative. We don't write r anything anymore. We're done writing r negative 32. Remainders are not written like that anymore. All right, now our synthetic division. Think of it this way. If you're wearing a synthetic leather jacket, your jacket is not made out of leather. So synthetic division is going to be division without having to divide. All right, here's our process. I'm going to set what I'm dividing by equal to 0 and get x to be 1. So what do you divide by? You set equal to 0 and solve. All right, that 1 I'm going to put over here in a little box, a little backwards L. All right, that's my first thing. So I set this equal to 0 and solve and put that in the backwards L. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my other polynomial and I'm going to pick out all of my coefficients and my constants. So I have a 1x to the third, a 3x squared, a negative 1x, and a negative 3. All right, so that's what I'm going to pull out. I'm going to pull out a 1, a 3, a negative 1, and a 3. Don't worry about why this works. Someone figured it out, and it's just a process that does. All right, so what we're going to do next, this is the synthetic division part. We're going to bring this 1 down, and I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to multiply 1 times 1 and put that answer underneath my 3. So I'm going to multiply here and bring that answer up. Whatever 1 times 1 is goes into this spot. All right, now I'm going to add these two numbers and get 4. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to multiply these two. 1 times 4 is 4. And I'm going to put it into this spot. I'm going to add down and get negative 3. I'm going to multiply again. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. I'm going to add down and get negative 6. Oh, made a mistake. Go back. This was a positive 3. That's a positive 3. Making this a 0. Can't add. Negative 1 plus 4 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. I get a 0. All right, so my numbers I'm going to work with now are 1, 4, 3, 0. So this is what we do next. I started with an x to the third, and I divided out one term. So this is going to be my x to the third line because of these numbers. And when I take one out, this is going to be my x squared line. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be my x squared term. Take one away. This is going to be my x term. Take it away. This is my constant, or just my number. And lastly, this number in the back is going to be my remainder. I started with a third. I took one out, so I'm going to go square x number remainder. And I'm just going to add those coefficients. 1x squared plus 4x plus 3 without a remainder. And there's my answer. All right, so let's do it again. I'm going to erase this and start over so we can follow the process. Set this equal to 0, goes in the backwards L. Pick out your coefficients. 1, 3, negative 1, negative 3. Skip a line, draw a line. We're going to bring this first number down. Then we're going to multiply and put that answer underneath the 3. I'm going to add down. I'm going to multiply, add down, multiply, add down. This was my x to the third. Take one away. This is my x squared. X squared, x, number, remainder. Since my remainder is 0, I don't have to worry about it. And I'm going to get 1x squared plus 4x plus 3. That's synthetic division. We'll do a few more of these. All right, over here. F of x is x to the third plus 3x squared minus x minus 3, which is this. All right, I'm going to find f of 1. So we get 1 plus 3 minus 1 minus 3, which is 0. So when I plug 1 into this function, I get a remainder of 0. I get an answer of 0. So what I'm trying to show you, we'll go back to, we'll do it from here. If this number is 1, f of 1, and I take that 1 and substitute it into all those x's, I got an answer of 0, which is also my remainder. So let's go back to this one. All right, so I had x plus minus 1 I divided by. So if I did synthetic, I'd have a 1 in that box. All right. With this function, or this expression, if I plug 1 into both of these values, both these x's, I got negative 32 as an answer, which is the same as doing long division's remainder of negative 32. All right, so do this one. No, wrong way. X minus 3 equals 0. X equals 3. So if I do f of 3 in here, I got an answer of 6, which is also my remainder of 6. Every single time this is going to work. And the last one, x minus 4 equals 0 because of this. X equals 4. When I put 4 into this expression, my answer was 0, which is the same as my remainder. Every single time. So let's do this next one. All right. I'm doing synthetic division with negative 2. Because I'm going to set x plus 2 equals 0. All right, so knowing that, if I do f of negative 2 with my numerator, negative 2x to the third plus 5 times 2, or x squared, minus x plus 2. Let me write that again. Plus 5x squared minus x plus 2. I want to find f of negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 cubed plus 5 times negative 2 squared minus a negative 2 plus 2. All right, so that's negative 2 times negative 8, which is 16, plus 5 times 4, which is 20, plus 2 plus 2. That's 38, 40. All right, that's my f of negative 2. So this tells me when I do my synthetic division, my remainder better be 40. All right, so I'm going to take out my coefficients. Negative 2 on my x to the third, 5 on my x squared, negative 1 on my x, and a 2. I'm going to drop the first number, multiply these two, put it underneath the next, which gives me, add them together, I get 9. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. Add them together, I get a negative 19. Negative 2 times negative 19 is a 38. I add them together, and I got that same remainder that I did here. I started with an x to the third. When I take out one x, I'm going to have an x squared. So this is x squared, x, my constant or my number, and my remainder. Negative 2x squared plus 9x minus 19 plus my remainder over x plus 2. This over here, doing f of 2 and getting an answer of 40, is a check to make sure your number is worked out correctly. If I go too fast, pause it and do some of this on your own. All right. Set my denominator equal to 0. I get negative 1/3. So I'm going to go 9x to the third, negative 18x squared, negative 1x plus 2. All right, oh no, it has a fraction in it, but it's not going to be that bad. Drop the first number. Negative 1/3 times 9, I get negative 3. Because 9 divided by 3, that's the same thing as multiplying by a third. Add down. I get negative 7. Something's not right. There's a mistake up here somewhere. 9, 9, negative 3, negative 12. Ah, it should be a positive one, that's why. That's negative also. That makes more sense. It wasn't going to work out. It's going to get ugly, so I knew I had something wrong. Negative 1/3 times 6 is negative 2 with a remainder of 0. All right, this is the different part. When you have a fraction in that little backwards L, you need to divide all three of your polynomials, not the remainder, by that numerator, or by that denominator. You get 372, which is my x squared, my x, and my number. All right, when you have a fraction here, you have to divide the denominator into all of those, which is 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. No remainder, so I don't have to write it. And if I did f of negative 1/3, when f of x is 9x to the third minus 18x squared minus x plus 2. If I did this math and I put a third into here, here, and here and did my math, my answer would be 0 because that's my remainder. All right, that's synthetic division. All right, we don't need to do that. We already talked about it. All right, now we're going to ask you to factor completely given one of the factors. We're going to factor completely giving one of the factors. Okay, so looking at this, I'll just tell you, because it's an x to the third, I need to have 3 factors. All right, it's always going to work that way. 3 factors for an x to the third. So what I'm going to do, if I know this is one of them, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to take x minus 4 out of that, and that's going to leave me with an x squared term. We know how to factor x squared terms pretty easily. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to synthetically divide. Set x minus 4 equal to 0. and get x to equal 4. That's going to be my backwards L. All right, now listen here, very important concept also. Listen to what I say. All right, my coefficient of my x to the third is 1. My coefficient of my x squared, which I don't have, is 0. Coefficient of my x is negative 37, and my constant is 84. When you are missing a term, you really have it, but it's 0x squared, so you have to put a 0 in that spot. All right, since this is a factor, for this to work, you will always, always, always get a remainder of 0. If an expression is a factor, you'll always have a remainder of 0. If you don't get a remainder of 0, it's not a factor. It has to divide evenly with a remainder of 0. So let's see if we can make that work. Drop the 1, multiply, add down, multiply, add down, multiply, add down, and I get my remainder of 0, so I did everything right. When you're talking about factors, your remainder has to be 0. So, x squared, x number, I have x squared plus 4x minus 21 left over. I need two factors, and those two factors are going to come from this expression. All right, hopefully a quick and easy one. Last term's negative, so plus minus. Multiplies to give me 21, subtracts to give me 4. Is 7 and 3. And I'm going to use 7 minus 3, because that gives me a positive 4. And those are my other two factors. So at next to the third, they're going to give you one factor. You synthetically divide it out, which will help you find your other two. It's the same concept I'm doing right now in pre-cal. Same ideas. It's just taking a little further next year. So we've got to understand the basics to be able to do the more advanced ones. All right. Try this one. Factor completely. X to the third minus or plus 3x squared minus 13x minus 15. One of the factors is x plus 5. Find me the other two factors. So go ahead, if you need to, pause the lesson, find me the other two, and then unpause when you need to, and keep pausing and unpausing to get yourself to follow the steps with me. All right, so give it a try. I'm automatically going to put that remainder of 0 because I need that to work. Drop the 1, multiply, add down. Multiply, add down, multiply, add down, and it worked. So I had an x to the third, and I took out 1. So x squared, x and a number, and no remainder. I get x squared minus 2x minus 3. This factors pretty easily, and it's going to factor. X plus, x minus, multiply to give me 3, subtract to give me 2. 3 and 1. Do I want 3 minus 1 or 1 minus 3? I want 1 minus 3. And those are my other two factors. If I wanted to just find out if this was a factor, I'm going to do synthetic division and see if I get a remainder of 0. Or do f of negative 5. And if that gives me an answer of 0, that means there's no remainder and it divides in evenly. Both ideas will work. Synthetic to get 0, or plugging it in to see if you get an answer of 0. All right, that's the lesson. Hopefully you watch this before next class, because we'll have a quiz on the imaginary numbers up to 5-3a, not what was taught in this particular lesson. All right, have a great one.